I'm Lirels, though I wasn't always. 3 days ago, I died in my old world, drowning while trying to save someone, and woke up in this body. A broken, hungry body living in the 9th district of Lawrence City, the worst slum in the Griffin Kingdom. The air here stinks of waste, the people look half dead, and my only food is black bread so hard even dogs wouldn't touch it. This world is stuck somewhere around medieval times, but it has magic, gods, dragons, demons, and creatures from underground that raid the surface and slaughter whole towns. Ordinary people like me are nothing here. Powerless, poor, invisible. The person whose body I took over was the last of the Els family. His father, Baron Els, died 10 years ago from an old wound, and the family fell apart after that. By kingdom law, if nobody claims a noble title within 7 years, it's taken away. The original Lear was too young, only 15 when the deadline passed, so the family lost everything. He ended up in the slums. To get the title back, there's only one path: become a frontier lord. That means going into the wilderness beyond the kingdom's borders and building a settlement there. It sounds simple, but over 2,000 years, the kingdom has only pushed 1,000 miles into that land, and the dead frontier lords could fill a mountain. Orcs, vampires, undead, dark elves, demons, the wilderness has all of them. The original Lear applied anyway. He figured starving to death in the slums was no better than taking a chance out there. But his body was so weak he died from a simple fall before he even got started. That's when I arrived. My neighbor Jim, a kind old man, a former knight who works at the docks now, tried to talk me out of it. He told me everything that waits in the wilderness. He hoped the Duke would reject my application. But today a soldier came to my door with a sealed document. Duke Lorne approved it. I'm to report tomorrow morning to receive my supplies and choose my territory. The paper also confirms my inheritance. I am now Baron Lirels again. There's no backing out. By law, any frontier lord who refuses to go or makes excuses is hanged as a deserter. In a world full of people with supernatural power, running isn't really an option either. I stood there staring at the document, feeling the weight of it all. Was just staying alive really this hard? And then, a faint blue light appeared in my mind. It gathered into a glowing panel with words on it. Detection complete. You have become a lord. The intelligence system is now active. I jumped to my feet, my heart pounding. Whatever this system was, it might just be the one thing that could keep me alive out there. After Jim left, I turned my attention to the intelligence system in my mind. It refreshes every 5 days and shows me 5 pieces of information, each ranked by how valuable it is, from 1 star up to 6. Since this was my first time, I got a bonus. 1 piece guaranteed to be 5 stars or higher. I commanded the system to refresh, and 5 entries started appearing on the glowing blue panel. The first 2 were only 1 star. One was about a supply officer named Dern planning to take a bribe and give special frontier supplies to some noble family called Roll. Not useful to me. My family's rank is too low to qualify for those supplies anyway. The second warned that over 100 ogres would attack a town called Windmill Town north of the city. Dangerous stuff, but nothing I could do about it. The third and fourth were 2 stars. Much better. The third told me that at the 9th District Black Market, Stall 13 was selling tree saplings labeled as ordinary redleaf trees. But they were actually lava fruit trees, a magical plant. Lava fruits restore magic power and sell for 10 gold coins each. A regular person earns maybe 5 or 6 gold in a whole year. Someone was selling these precious saplings at the price of common wood. If I could buy them, the profit would be enormous. The fourth was about Felina Lauren, the eldest daughter of the family that rules this entire city. She's a level 16 Grand Mage, only 24 years old, powerful enough to destroy a city. She's been searching for a magical plant called blue crystal grass, and the system told me exactly where to find it. 200 kilometers northwest of the city, in a valley full of lilies. The plant itself might not be worth much on its own, but if someone that powerful wants it, its value skyrockets. This could be my way to fund everything I need. Then the 5th piece of information appeared, and it glowed gold. 6 stars. The highest possible rating. My heart nearly stopped when I read it. In the 9th District Black Market, tomb raiders had stolen a cloudy crystal from an ancient tomb. On the morning of July 8th, at sunrise, they'd sell it at stall 23 near the market entrance. That crystal contained a fragment of the swamp god's shattered divine power. All I had to do was let a drop of my blood fall on it, and I could take control of that fragment. A god's power. The power of a being that rules this world. And it was about to go on sale at a market stall, right here in my district. My hands were shaking. This system, it was truly terrifying. It took me a while to calm down after seeing that 6-star information. A fragment of a god's power, just sitting there, waiting to be sold at a market stall. I had to get it. But the problem was obvious. I had no money. I couldn't fight anyone either. I hadn't even formed a magic seed yet. I was just an ordinary person in a world full of powerful beings. Robbing the Tomb Raiders wasn't an option, so I needed a plan. I had to use the smaller pieces of intelligence to earn money first, then go after the divine fragment. The third piece of information was the easiest to act on. The lava fruit tree saplings being sold as cheap red leaf trees at stall 13 in the 9th District Market. I decided to start there. I went to the corner of my room, moved a loose brick, and pulled out 3 silver coins. That was everything the original owner of this body had left. 100 copper coins make 1 silver, and 1 copper buys a loaf of that awful black bread. These 3 coins were enough to survive on for maybe 4 months. Now I was about to gamble them on the system's information. I walked 20 minutes through the winding alleys to the market. The place was full of poor people in patched-up clothes, bargaining hard over every copper coin. I passed through the small vendors and reached the main section, counting stalls until I found number 13. It was a fruit shop run by a thin man with a limp. I noticed a triangle tattoo on his arm, the mark of the Pure Blood Brotherhood, a local gang. The shop was probably a front. I knew I had to be careful and not show what I was really after. I spotted the lava fruit tree saplings right away. They were covered in foul-smelling mud with just a few red leaves poking out. You couldn't tell them apart from ordinary red leaf saplings just by looking. I asked to buy several kinds of common saplings, green fruit, long leaf, and red leaf, mixing my real target in with the rest. There were only 12 lava fruit saplings, so I took all of them along with other cheap ones. I spent 2 silver coins on 40 saplings total, and after plenty of haggling, the man threw in 5 extra just to get rid of me. He spat on the ground as I left, calling me a clueless slum kid. Meanwhile, he had no idea he'd just sold me plants worth a fortune. I carried the bundle of muddy saplings through back alleys, slipping out of the 9th District without trouble. Nobody gave me a second look. The saplings were dirty and seemed worthless. Outside the slums, the city was a different world. Tall, pointed buildings with stained glass windows, walls covered in beautiful plaster carvings praising gods and heroes. Noble ladies peeked from windows. It was stunning, and the contrast with the filth I'd just come from felt almost cruel. I didn't stop to admire it. I had somewhere to be. I hired a carriage and headed for the city center. By sunset, I stood in front of the Rose Estate, the home of the Lauren family. A fountain misted the air at the gate, making a rainbow. The walls were over 10 meters high, lined with angel statues and climbing roses. It was the most beautiful place I had ever seen. Guards watched me with sharp eyes as I walked forward. They stopped me immediately. "This is the Rose Estate." I raised the small tree in my hand. I found the magical plant that Princess Felina offered a reward for, the blue crystal grass. The guard stopped me at the gate. A tall knight in black armor and a crimson cloak stepped forward, looking me over with suspicion. I was holding muddy saplings and wearing patched clothes. I clearly didn't belong here. I told him I didn't have the blue crystal grass with me, but I knew where it was. He didn't look convinced. I kept my voice steady and explained that no one would risk their life just to lie to the princess. I told him he only needed to pass the message along. If I was wrong, the blame would fall on me, not him. He was starting to come around when the sound of horses interrupted us. 7 white unicorns pulled a carriage wrapped in blooming roses around the corner. As it passed, the plants along the street seemed to wake up, standing taller, turning greener. Roses on the walls swayed without any wind. The air filled with a sweet fragrance. It was like watching a goddess arrive. The coachwoman was a golden-haired girl in a dark blue gown, beautiful enough to be a noblewoman herself. But she was just the attendant. Then the passenger stepped out. Felina Lauren. She had skin like jade, flawless features, and deep blue eyes that could hold anyone's gaze. Her brown hair floated as if weightless. She wore a black robe with faint rose patterns, elegant and noble in every way. Every guard placed a hand on their chest and bowed. The tall knight was trembling with respect. In this world, there are 2 paths to power, knights and mages. Knights strengthen their bodies. Mages control magic. Mages rank from apprentice up through junior, intermediate, senior, advanced, grand, crown, and finally transcendent. Each rank has 3 levels. Most mages never get past intermediate. Felina was already a level 16 grand mage at 24, the youngest magic prodigy in the history of the Griffin Empire. A grand mage can cast war spells powerful enough to destroy half a city. In the whole empire, only a handful of people have ever gone higher than that. I greeted her with a proper noble's bow, hand on shoulder, polite nod. She noticed and seemed curious. She told me she'd heard our conversation through the air itself, some kind of magic. I reminded myself again how extraordinary this world was. I told her I knew where the blue crystal grass grew and that I'd come for the reward. She was surprisingly direct. She explained the grass was a key ingredient for a potion she needed and asked me what I wanted in return. I couldn't help pointing out that she wasn't much of a negotiator. She smiled faintly, studied my patched clothes and calm eyes, and suggested I tell her the location first, promising a reward that would satisfy me. I gave it to her without hesitating. 200 kilometers northwest of Lawrence City, in a valley full of lilies. Information is only worth something when you trade it to the right person at the right time. Holding back would have gained me nothing. She seemed surprised by how quickly I answered. Then she asked if I wasn't afraid she'd break her promise. After all, she was the princess, and no one would believe a